Hi, I'm Michael Wardle. We're here in my studio in Las Vegas, Nevada with some of my stuff. And a lot of times people will look at this work and they'll ask me what my inspiration is, and I don't feel like I'm necessarily inspired to paint. It's something I do because if I don't do it, I feel uncomfortable, for lack of a better explanation. But I spent the first 15 years of the 37 years I've been making a living doing this as a traditional painter, and really had no thoughts of doing anything outside that realm. And but in college I had a professor that taught us to tone the canvas, and we'd put a watered down, or in the case of an oil painting, a wash of turpentine and oil paint, and we'd put it down on the canvas just to get rid of the white spots. So you're painting from a mid-value rather than on a stark canvas. And I always enjoyed watching the paint. The way it would drip and it'd make these patterns, and sometimes I'd follow those patterns with more opaque applications of pigment. And then at some point I'd mop it out and paint out whatever portrait or landscape or whatever the hell it was I was trying to paint. But one night in March of 1989, I kind of cut loose, and I took the opportunity to follow those urges that had always haunted me, and woke my then wife up at 3 o'clock in the morning with the first 2 abstract paintings I'd ever painted, and I've never looked back. Summer of '93, this was before I was able to do the abstract paintings full time. I actually moved to Las Vegas because I was involved doing murals for casinos. And I ended up doing the head on the Sphynx at the Luxor. I did a little 1/24 life-size piece of sculpture of the head, and then pointed it up for the framers. And a few weeks later, found myself up on the end of a 120-foot boom, carving a 100-foot tall Sphynx in styrofoam. Far cry from the original one, but that's the rat race that is Las Vegas. So let's leave this rat race and go back to my place. In 1974, when I started painting, I was doing primarily portraits. And a lot of it was little kids, and I do these little 9 by 12 inch portraits for 75 bucks. And then that expanded into, you know, traditional portraits. Was with a portrait gallery in New York City in the late 80s, and did several hundred commissioned portraits over the years. And at some point, it came back into the abstract painting. I think it started with some charity auctions when they asked if I could maybe do a painting of a rock and roll guy or something, and I started doing a little bit of that. And the first several years I always felt a little uncomfortable. Now when I do the portraits, my favorite is to do the straight abstract, but I do feel comfortable with the paint now. There's always a little bit of a battle between having the paint feel as alive and spontaneous as I'd like it to be, and still maintain the likeness of whoever you're doing the portrait of. We're standing in front of another painting now. This one I think is called Midnight Madness. I've never liked titling paintings because it seems like that is often will limit the viewer. They try to see Midnight Madness rather than see what they want to see. But every now and then I have a few variations on the theme that I work in. Some of them, like the last one, are more loaded up with paint. There's more of an all-over feeling to it. This one, you'll notice, has some areas of relief in these dark areas where there's not as much going on. And a lot of artists say that an artist should never accept commissions. And sometimes that might be true, but I would say from half the commissions I've done, I've always learned something, and something has come up that's informed future work. And one of them was, years ago I was experimenting with these ones that were a little easier to do. They were quicker. They had more, they used a simpler palette, there was less paint on them, and more open areas. And people seemed to like them and they'd sell well. And at some point I just kind of backed off and decided, I don't want to do that anymore. But since that time, every now and then I've had the urge to incorporate a little bit of that into the painting. And so it's kind of woven its way into the lexicon, I guess. And the language that I use is another slightly altered alphabet, where this painting has some areas that are left open, but yet I basically use the same process of meditating a little bit, not any kind of religious chanting meditation necessarily, even though I messed around with that years ago, but just a clearing out. I try to clear out and get empty so that what I do feels new and spontaneous. Even though I'm based in Las Vegas, I do sell my work all over the place. Just this year, I've placed paintings in Copenhagen, Denmark, London, England, and somewhere in the south of France. I can't remember the name of the town. And I've sold paintings all over Asia and Europe and South America, as well as the US. But next time you're in Las Vegas, I really hope you'll look me up.